Arcane... electric, that's exactly the type of build we're gonna go today. Hi, hello and welcome. Welcome back to another Onkruid video, another unedited Soulstone Survivors run. Playing with the Pyromancer to try and get this guy to a new upgrade level. And here we go. With the level 3 curse for the first time, I think we are now getting more lords at once. For now things are really gonna start kicking off, I believe, but let's just get into it and see if we can beat this mode as easily as we did the previous modes. I read up a bit about those two separate modes and it was indeed correct, my assumption that this is the Overlord mode, where you will just fight a whole lot of Lords of the Void, so a whole lot of the bosses that we get in our regular runs, and this is complete endless mode, so just increasing incremental stronger enemies forever and see how long you can last. Both sound very interesting. I definitely want to get into them, but I'm gonna need to slot in a nice recording session then, maybe this evening, but maybe my girlfriend also just wants to do some things together. Let's go for the wound upgrade immediately, but I'm gonna need quite a vast recording slot, some heaps of time available for me, because otherwise I'm not gonna be able to complete endless runs at all, of course. I can already tell you that it seems like this has indeed gotten a bit intenser. An arcane shield might be beneficial. Arcane power though. Arcane power, let's go for arcane power first. It's not gonna speed up the killing process that much right now, but it will prove to be, I think, a beneficial upgrade for us in the future. I'm gonna continue on to ramble on a bit about that workshop that we did in a school that I was talking about. I was matched up with an intern actually, so not somebody with the most experience in the office, in the practice I work in, but I definitely knew before that she was a very competent player there. For just being an intern, she is always doing so many things, always taking up so many tasks that I had not a shred of doubt that we wouldn't ace it. We wouldn't slam it out of the park, that workshop, and we did so together. It was a beautiful collaboration, it all worked well, and there were some very, well, I'm just gonna say it, I'm gonna go flat out and say it, some cute students in that class as well. Not as in like the physically attractive sense of cute, of course, because they were minors, or well, they were not 18 at least, and that's not what I'm getting at all. I meant like actually cute in like the cute way, you know, the pleasant way. I don't know how to say it, but what I want to say is either way that, well, there were people that were very open to the experiences and to all the discussions and stuff, but then there were also people that were clearly quite uncomfortable with what we were talking about that day, and those people even still towards the end of the session really opened up, you know, they really opened up and they really were able to contribute their own little meanings and stuff, and it was just beautiful to see. It was really enjoyable. There was also a student in there who I believe, I didn't ask of course, who had I believe probably an accident earlier when she was younger, I presume, because her face had some, well, how do you say this? How do you say this to be acceptable? Because I don't want to be rude at all, because I have nothing but respect. But there was definitely some inconsistencies in her face, and if I saw correctly, because I didn't stare at her either way or stuff, because I wanted to be respectful, I think she only had one eye, if I'm not mistaken, or at least one usable eye, because she also had to hold everything quite close to her face when looking at things from up close. And she was very, like, at first silent, keeping to herself a bit, but then later when we were discussing certain roleplay scenarios, for example, I heard her just like go ham on the students in her group, like, no, we should do it like this, we should try this and stuff, and she really loosened up and blossomed. I don't know if you noticed, but we're fighting two lords at once right now. Things just got real. For now, the difficulty might actually spike up a bit, and I will finally get the increased challenge that I have been looking for so long. Lovely. And we also need to we need to kill 10 lords before we actually advance to the next stage. So some changes are to be made to our game plan, probably. I also can't help but realize that I feel like this Pyromancer character right now, or at least with the rune build that we have with him right now, is not the best fit. We don't deal that much damage, but we are of course a very passive damage dealing build a damage over time build, so we need to get more into the habit of picking up more effect applications. All in all, though, the workshop was just a grand old success. When we looked at the feedback that the students gave us, because we asked for feedback like, hey, did you enjoy the activities? Which ones did you not enjoy? Which one do you think we can change to do better in the future? I know that in all those feedbacks that we got from the students, only in one feedback were the names of the people that gave the workshop actually mentioned. And can you believe that it was my name, the name of me and my co-host, the partner, the colleague I did our session with? You know, I want to go for Arcane Overload, but do we want to get rid of something else? I think we might want to get rid of Void to go for that full Arcane build like we promised ourselves to do so. They said something like, hey, you know, I didn't really enjoy the subject matter because, of course, it's not that easy to talk about things like mental health and stuff, especially not in the context of a classroom and your high school class. I can imagine that. But the guidance, the counselors that we had, Vincent and his colleague, they were very sweet and they made the day fun. And it's I had to shed a tear. I'll come out and say it because I want to be transparent to you guys, just like I want to be transparent as a therapist later in life. I shed a tear. Such a beautiful comment and such a boost to my self-esteem as well for somebody that had never given such a workshop before, to read something like that after the first day of giving a workshop. Man, that really made my day. And then coming home, hearing that, and then also my computer being fixed again, man, it was truly a great day for my mental health. And I hope today will be another one of those days, because today is quite an important day when it comes to work. I have my own intake conversation with the adult person who is worrying a lot, whom hopefully I will then start up a nice little trajectory with for a while. The Arcane Shield. Do we want to get rid of combustion? Are we... Do we dare to do so? Let's go ham. We're full Arcane. No more combustion anymore. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We are fighting a bunch of lords right now, but we don't need to stand close to them anymore now that we don't have the combustion circle around us, so I guess we can kind of do what we want. We are taking some damage though. I have that intake conversation, and I also have a discussion with the boss in the practice. 82 damage. Does anybody have a healing crystal for me potentially? I have a conversation with her about the job interview that I had earlier this week. And a conversation with the boss where I work right now is like, hey, do you mind if I work 50-50 on those two separate spaces? I know it's normally something they are not opposed to. They even encourage a bit, because I am working as an independent worker there, so I can actually do whatever I want. But they also are like, you know, we invest a lot of time and effort into making you a member of our team, so if you now all of a sudden just only show up for 1 day a week, we're not really going to appreciate that. So it's going to be quite a difficult conversation, and we're going to need to have some things that we need to worry about and see if, like, is it feasible for me to work on these two places at once. But I think that this specific combination of these two specific practices where I would then work is a beautiful combination, and it's not going to be detrimental to the working of the place I am working at right now in any way, shape or form, or I hope so at least. Arcane Explosion. Summon a large arcane explosion at your position. Is there a skill we want to replace? Maybe the Arcane Overload, because it doesn't benefit from area all that much, and I know that this character has specific area upgrades, so let's try Arcane Exposure instead of that ability, instead of Arcane Overload. So yeah, cool things ahead of me today at work. I'm looking forward to it, but it's also a bit stressful because they are quite important for the rest of my life, the rest of my career, and therefore the rest of my life. It's gonna be exciting, it's gonna be cool, and everything is gonna come up Millhouse, everything is gonna come up Onkruid, everything is gonna go my way. I hope so. At least I'm kind of trying to manifest a bit, which, if you don't know about manifesting, it's a nice little life hack. I mean, some people believe in the supernatural powers of something like that. That's not what I want to advocate for, because I don't think that's true. But like, having this clear thought in your mind of what you want to do or want to achieve, saying it out loud, and then believing that that will steer your life into a way where it actually happens. That's a basic way of saying it. If, for example, you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror and you tell yourself, I'm gonna have an amazing day today with a lot of opportunities, and then you actually have an amazing day with a lot of opportunities. 3 lords at once, huh? Now I finally realize where all the crazy screenshots from people where all the people get those crazy screenshots from with 20 bosses alive at once. And now I finally also realize how people can lose runs. It's been a while since we have actually lost a Soulstone Survivors run on camera, or off camera, because I haven't played off camera all that much lately. But this could be the one, you know. This could be the one where it actually happens, because we are fighting a whole bunch of lords at once all the time now. And who knows, maybe our arcane build is not up for the task at all, but I am definitely trying to do so. I'm trying my best, trying my hardest. Whew. The run like this is definitely also going to be longer, so I hope I even have enough time to finish it, because I still have to eat before I go to work, I still have to brush my teeth, I still have to get ready in general, and then I have to cycle over there, which is going to take a while today, because the weather in Belgium is ass. It's absolute ass. It's horseshit trash. A lot of rain, a whole lot of wind, and when you have to cycle to work, a whole lot of wind and rain is not that fun. Not that fun at all, so it might slow you down a little bit, especially if the wind is coming at you head on. Which it always seems to, right? Whenever you... Does anyone else relate to this? Whenever you have to cycle somewhere, even walk somewhere sometimes, it always feels like the wind is facing you head on and slowing you down. It never feels like it's in your back and giving you that nice boost that you sometimes, in very rare occasions actually feel. Because that would really get me to work a lot faster if the wind would actually be in my back, giving me this nice beneficial push of speed that I need to actually get to my workspace. It's gonna be a work day from 1 up until 6 in the evening probably, and then tomorrow on Friday I'm gonna have to leave work earlier because I have a quiz, which I'm looking forward to quite a lot. I didn't prepare all that much, or not as much as I would have liked to since the last quiz, that's for sure, but I just had a lot of things going on, and then also this YouTube thing still going on as well. It's been a hectic couple of weeks. I've enjoyed myself, that's for sure, but I've also been tired on some days, been stressed on some days, and it's just a lot on my head. 4 bosses, huh? 4 bosses, that's what you're telling me, that we're fighting 4 bosses right now. I think we definitely need some defensive upgrades, like the arcane shield is a defensive upgrade, but some speed or an extra dash or something would go a long way as well. Upgrades that we normally would have never taken in the past, but now they would be welcome as hell, because I feel like otherwise we're going to take a bit of a beating. Some of the bosses ahead of us, some of our adversaries are getting quite low, but there are also bosses that still have full health. We're just zooming around the map. I feel like if we eliminate all 4 of them though, we're quite far ahead into the journey of completing this run, and that's beneficial for us. That's something nice, because we need to finish it one way or another. I'm gonna find you, I'm gonna get you. But we need to make sure that we don't get damaged into oblivion. I see that one of these guys is going down, swinging, but it is... there we go, come on. The Profitless, please die. I don't know where you are on the map, but I hope that I can hit you some way. There we go. Now, the Plague Bearer is somewhere up here. I want to get rid of him as quickly as possible as well, because I just want the screen to be a bit clearer. There we go. 2 bosses to go, and then just 2 more bosses after that, and then we will have completed the run already. So all in all, it's not that longer, actually, because you get to fight a whole bunch of bosses more quickly and at the same time. Simultaneously is the word I am looking for, which can speed up the run in its own way. I feel like we will be fine. And we are definitely collecting a whole lot of materials, even also a whole lot of upgrade or prestige level materials as well. So that's really gonna help us progress a bit faster in the long run. Damn, a lot of things happening. I want to talk about what the other subject I want to talk about, and I'm probably going to talk about this for the rest of the video, because I feel like it's a subject I could make an entire podcast episode for, an hour long. Can we get a little shout out for the commentary today, by the way, because I feel like I'm doing a great job. Just nice, happy thoughts, helping thoughts. I think I'm doing a great job at that. 1 sentence I read in a book. Just 1 sentence, and it was so impactful. It was only in like the 3rd page, so that sets the scene of how helpful that book is going to be in the rest of my life. I'm talking about Existential Therapies by Mick Cooper, an existential therapist himself, and in that book he gives an overview of all the different kinds of existential therapies that are around right now, that people are practicing. That's a lot of damage. No revive pop, but we need to be careful. And he tells us, well, of course, there are a lot of different types of existential therapies, but there are a lot of types of therapies in general. And some people might even say that there are as many types of therapies as there are therapists in the world. And that really, pardon me, that really struck a nerve, that hit a nerve in my brain. My cortex fired, the neurons were active, the synaptic clefts were filled with neurotransmitters for a second there, because my brain was processing that information at a high velocity and really trying to cement that into my general array of knowledge, because that's a statement and a sentiment that I want to carry with me for eternity, for the rest of my life. Some people might say that there are as many therapies, as many different kinds of therapies as there are therapists around us in the world. A beautiful statement, right? Really a meaningful statement at that. There's so much meaning to unpack in that small little sentence right there. What does it basically mean? It means that every therapist has his own way of doing things, which is of course true, because every therapist is an entire human being of his own. He has his own experiences, his own little quirks, his own things that he likes to do, that he dislikes to do. It's his own complex personality, you know, and that of course influences the way you are as a therapist, the way you try to help others. And therefore every single therapist has their own way of doing therapy. We learned about this also when we were studying cognitive behavioral therapy, that if you give the same case to 20 different cognitive behavioral therapists, of course there will be some similarities, because the education that they benefited from to become a cognitive behavioral therapist was a large shaping factor in their personality, in the type of person they are, and therefore also in the type of therapy they are conducting. But still, there is so much individuality in there. There's so much idiosyncratic influences on their way of working, that you will get a different result for every single therapist you assign that case to. And that is just so beautiful. I think that's one of the most beautiful parts of our job, and I think that it also very much highlights the importance of intervision and supervision, where you just sit together with your colleagues and you try to get different perspectives on situations, because every single person will have a little bit of a different perspective on the same situation. I shouldn't have taken Leviathan there. We are already moving way too slow to warrant another Leviathan upgrade, but I just saw damage and I was like, yeah, we need damage to kill these last two lords. We have the Goon Squad that we are very familiar with surrounding us right now, Alexi and Colomet. Those are of course the lords that we know from the demo version of this game, and we know how to beat them therefore. But isn't it a beautiful sentence, you know? I don't know from the top of my dome, not necessarily, I don't have an idea of any other field of work or any other job that has a similar statement, a similar sentiment applicable to it, you know? I feel like, for example, carpenters, they have maths, they have maths and stuff, they have mathematics, they have materials that they need to abide by, they have certain budgets, and they have certain, like, oh, that's the new rare material, I don't know what it's going to be used for. They have certain skills that don't require a lot of personal input. You just need to know how to do it, and that's that, if you get me, if you get what I'm saying. And a painter, for example, sure, they can use different colors, they can use different brush strokes. With a painter, I mean like the carpenter type of painting, not the artist, but like the actually painting walls in rooms and stuff like that. You just need to know certain techniques, and it's nothing personal, kid, but you just need to know it. You need to know objectively how to do it, and there's a lot less personal interpretations and not less subjective influences, I think, in that work. Also, for example, another field of work that definitely has that, I think, is artists, musical and sculpting, paintings, all of those kinds of things, but also cooks, chefs. I think they can also, I don't think a single chef makes a dish exactly the same. They make love to that plate in different ways, all in different ways. But to come back to the field of therapy, yeah, it's also intertwined with another interesting thing I didn't necessarily talk about it maybe, but I thought about lately, is that so much of what happens in therapy is decided upon by which words you know. It's so important as a therapist to have a broad vocabulary, especially in the emotional, social domain of words. You need to know so many feeling words. Of course, you could also be more creative and use drawings and stuff for your patient to have them express their feelings and stuff in those ways, but you need to know how to talk to people, right? You need to know how to formulate the right questions with the right words as well, for example. And stupid Discord message, you need to know what's up in that vocabulary part of your brain. Wernicke and Broca, those areas need to be active beautifully. Eliminate a total of 400 Lords of the Void Generalists. You cause 5% extra damage for each different type your currently active skills have. So, in a perfect scenario, that is 30% raw extra damage if you have 6 different types of abilities, right? If my math is correct. Reach level 20 prestige with the Pyromancer, Meteor Rain. That's awesome. That is definitely going to help us progress a lot quicker in the long run, because these curse difficulties definitely ramp up the amount of prestige materials we get. One more run and we might be able to already get to level 30. Unlocked a nice little new rune, which is right over here. Generalist, maybe we will try to make something work with it in the next episode, which I hope you will be here for as well. Episode 14 it will be, episode 13 this was. Thanks a lot for watching, hope to see you in the next one. Sorry for rambling, but I'm glad I rambled. Bye bye. Bye bye.